Centralized governance refers to most centralized systems of decision-making and management systems in which the protected area management bodies are directly subordinated to the central responsible authority. However, governance by a state agency means that the protected area management bodies are directly subordinated to a national agency. Centralized governance is the most unusual type of governance by government in Eastern Europe, with many particularities among the countries in question. The most representative example for this subtype is the case of Hungary. In Hungary, the national park directorates carry out the role of protected area management units.
After the political changing, we have got a new system for the nature conservation, and it's working since that time. Actually, all the national park directorates belonging to the Ministry of Agriculture. Of course, the name of the ministry is always changing, but that's more important is to know that all the national parks are state national parks. There are 10 national parks in Hungary, and all of them have got a task not in a national park, but they are working for nature conservation, all surrounded landscape protected areas and other nature reserves.
A body of 5 to 11 experts were nominated by the ministry with an advisory role. However, their influence on decision-making has not been significant yet.
The best conclusion of the last 25 years after the changing is that without people cannot be successful nature conservation. And of course we have to serve the local people's interest as well as the visitors and as well as the nature interest.
Some of the governance systems in Eastern European countries include a specialized agency, which is subordinated to the central authority for the environment and has the role of both coordinating and supervising protected area management bodies. Such an agency exists in Finland, Metsa Parks and Wildlife Finland. Metsa is a state enterprise that includes Parks and Wildlife Finland. It operates in the same way as a government agency under the direct supervision of the Parliament, the Ministry of Environment and the Ministry of Agriculture and Forestry.
The financing is coming, of course, from the state budget. So the Parliament is accepting annually that what is the basic budget for us. And this government budget covers around 60 to 65% of our total costs. And others will come from the different sources, from municipalities, from EU projects, and also we are selling licenses for fishing and hunting and selling other items.
Parks and Wildlife Finland is in charge of operational management of protected areas through its regional structures, development of management plans, visitor management, and it helps the Ministry of Environment in coordinating the protected area system at a national level. But it also has other tasks.
This Parks and Wildlife Finland have several different activities. First of all, we are a nature conservation organization for the species and natural environment protection. Then we provide facilities for outdoor recreation and tourism services. Then we are also in charge of the fishing and game management in all government-owned land. We are the landowners, and that's why we are very strong position to make the decisions. However, we also have to listen, of course, to people to whom these decisions have any effects. So we have open hearings within management planning process and other processes when we are making decisions, and they can tell us what are their opinions, and we have to justify finally our decisions.
For the nature conservation in Finland, in principle the landowner has two options. Our strategy in Finland is mostly that the lands of the protected areas are owned by the government. So the landowner has a possibility of selling the land to the state for the nature conservation areas, for example, inside Natura 2000 areas. Then we have also another scheme where the landowner still maintains the ownership for the land, but gets a one-off compensation payment for establishing a permanent privately owned nature conservation area. And thirdly, we have a third concept that is really pushed forward by the last two governments in Finland. We are pushing forward voluntary measures for establishing a nature conservation area where it's totally up to voluntary measures of the landowner to make either a temporary agreement for the protection or establishing this kind of privately owned permanent nature conservation area. That program is called Metsa program, the protection program for the southern Finland forests.
One benefit is that probably all the national parks look like the same structure, and the national park can work together a little bit more easier because all the national parks do the same, and sharing experiences amongst the other national parks is better.
It's a very good decision to centralize the management and nature conservation areas inside a single unit that is governing then all the areas, because it gets there you have also the cooperation between the areas is coming much more smoothly, rather than you would have different kinds of institutions or departments responsible for different national parks.
One disadvantage is that we are belonging to the ministry, and in ministry, of course, this is a governmental body serving many political interests, and sometimes the political interest is changing depending the government parties.
I think one of the challenges comes directly from this, that we are owning majority of the land, so it gives us sometimes a too big sense of power over the decisions, that we have to always keep a lot of attention on hearing different kinds of stakeholders, because we should be providing services to the public.
Despite the problems, there are significant changes and positive trends, with open-minded protected area authorities, managers and proactive stakeholders taking the lead in changing very centralized protected area government systems into more open and transparent participative systems.